Hey, hello everyone, and welcome to this week market review. I am Chris here, the market strategist at Elliott Wave Cafe. And as always, let's take a look at the main markets, at the core markets. Then we'll take a look also at a little bit of crypto, Bitcoin, and Ethereum and see where everything stands. Following a pretty uneventful week, I must say, with an S&P 500 that closed about 60 basis points up on the week. You'll see the Nasdaq and the rest, maybe a little softer. We've had some, definitely a little bit of a pullback, maybe in some of the higher growth stocks, especially, one of the market leaders, Nvidia, pulled back last week. So we'll analyze that as well. Make no mistake about it, we're still in a pretty decent uptrend, as you can see in here by the 40-week moving average and by the 10-week price. It is above these averages, suggesting an uptrending market basically. And it's in my view, you can use a lot of indicators, obviously, whatever you would like. For me personally, on the daily time frames, I go and I take a look at the PPO, which is a slight variation of the MACD, and then watch the RSI and watch the volume, moving averages, Elliott wave counts, and that kind of helps me paint a larger picture. And I want to see, based on price, where we are, how the market behaves every single day, right? Do we have selling in the morning? Do we have buying in the afternoon? Do we have buying in the morning and then selling in the afternoon? So it's a day by day endeavor, right, where we try to read price and see how the market behaves every single week, and if it's giving us any clues, because I think a lot of these indicators are a bunch of noise. And price and volume will pretty much tell you almost everything you need to know by how market behaves. If we're starting to get a lot more distribution, and you see things selling towards the end of the day, you see the leaders in the market kind of selling off, or for that matter, getting bought and being aggressive. A lot of these indicators are just derivatives of price, and there is not a lot of reason to get too caught up in those. But like I said, a simple PPO or MACD kind of tells you when the trend or the momentum, and you're looking here at Nvidia, when it's starting to lose a little bit of its strength, and it's kind of starting to turn. So for example, here you can see the 20-day starting to cross, the PPO starting to cross below its 9-day moving average, which is usually a caution signal, and it's starting to tell you, well, we're having a little bit of a slowdown. But even if you don't have this indicator up top, I mean, the fact that you gapped up into 140 and then you closed at 130 on that particular day, that's enough of a signal to start to tell people, hey, there's a change here in the market character a little bit, and you got to pay attention. You have an RSI that's starting to drop back from higher levels here near 80 on the daily, and but you're still in an uptrend. You're still above the 20-day, the 50-day. They're all trending higher. So that's not to say that you're going to get into a major crash, but usually when you get sell-offs like that, we've got another one back at the beginning of March. That could mean that the stock might have to go to a little bit of a repricing. There could be a lot of people that bought right into that gap and got very excited. So some of those late buyers could be shaken out a little bit here. So again, not necessarily a market top signal, although they never ring the bell. It might be, but we'll see how it behaves here. I would watch this, certainly on a daily basis, see if we start to lose the 20-day, if we start to kind of fail in the afternoon, if Realis and Nvidia start failing, right? Then those are all signals that we have to read and say. And this stock is so huge that definitely has an influence over the larger market. So, Microsoft continues to look pretty good. Google seems to be breaking out. Meta is kind of hanging in there. Tesla is kind of a lost cause at the moment. Netflix also looks pretty decent. So, the market is in a, I think, in a kind of waiting period in here, and maybe a little bit of a repricing has to happen. As we're kind of going into the summer, into the fall, a lot of these indices are quite extended above their moving averages, and there was a bit of a froth in the semiconductors, and also, nothing, continues forever. But bottom line is, like, I would not lose the fact that we're still in an uptrend, but that we could be a bit extended, and a period of weakness could arrive on this market. So we'll continue to kind of watch it, definitely day by day to my videos, and written pieces in there. I explain kind of what I see, and kind of how I read that price action. Taking a look here at the RSP, this one, gain about 1.17% on the week. So a little bit of an equilibrium here. This market is pretty much flat. I don't think we're going to get an explosion higher in any way. More of the same, I would think, in the equal index. Nasdaq definitely, with a even deeper pullback, from the rally in the week. So we only closed up about 20 basis points. This high volume in here is because it was a Friday option expiration. So usually those Fridays are going to tend to have larger volume as dealers, close positions, and you have all kind of things happening right when you have option expiration. But it's a bit concerning, the fact that they sold it off here. Now it's just a small candle. It's definitely important, what's going to happen next week. There's a massive support below at about 19,000, even below at about 18.5. So, I would wait here. I would definitely not initiate any fresh purchases. Maybe trim some positions that are very profitable if you have them. Tighten up some stops. Just kind of think about that. Then you have Nasdaq Composite, which is on pretty much on a similar path in here. Semiconductors also pulling back. I don't have the volume on this. I should look at SMH, but again, just a small negative week. We were down about 1%. We were down before, just after the breakout, but now we're a bit extended. And if you look at the daily chart, I think we're upwards of about maybe 9-10% above some of these moving averages. So that's also suggesting that we could be entering a period of of consolidation, of just kind of grind sideways in here. So that's semiconductors. Dow Jones, a little bit of a shift from everybody's talking about the growth stocks. Dow 30 has a lot of value as well. You've got obviously healthcare. You've got financials in there that are doing fairly okay, and it could be that a breakout is coming. I mean, this week it's pretty solid, but I would not jump on anything just based on this. If we're trying to get back above 40K, then that would be a signal that, hey, and in the meantime, we'll see what happens with the S&P, because if you get divergences between these indexes, that's also an issue. But Dow, it's not a very watched market by many traders. I keep an eye on it just to kind of see what happens relative to to the value stocks, and see if it confirms or denies any of the other market indices. Russell also, took a little bit of a beating the previous week. We closed right at the lows. We failed to have a continuation lower. We were up only about 80 basis points, but it's not, doesn't look very encouraging, right? I mean, we're counting it as a possible, flat in a wave two, another 1-2 in here, and see if we can go. But just because I put a wave 2 in there doesn't mean that it's correct. And then, you have to always, think about what you expect and then what happens. So the only way that wave 2 back here, proposed wave 2, would get confirmed would be if we're starting to break above 210, right? Then I would say yes, we could be in the beginning of a larger wave 3. But for right now, you're still below the 10 week. The volume is kind of weak. You're below a massive overhead supply. So there's real no reason yet to get excited about IWM or small caps. If you look even on the smaller time frames, and if I go, and I'll just show you the IWM here, you can see how. All right, let me just refresh this quickly. You will see how it's below those moving averages, and it's the kind of right shoulder, it's starting to lose momentum, and it's not looking very, very healthy. What's going on here? All right, let me revisit this. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on with that, but anyway, this is I'm talking about this drop from 210 back to kind of 200. Let's see, maybe it connected, not yet. All right, let's continue to go in here and see what's going on with Bitcoin. Bitcoin also, had lost quite a bit of momentum ever since it hasn't been able to break above 70K. And we did some buys in here in these couple of weeks, and then right into last week we started to kind of pare back and exit our longs. And I talked about this in some of the videos too. And I said, listen, the market is really not acting right. You're starting to break. Oh, here is IWM, but I'm done talking about that one. So I'll go. Basically, I mean, you can see these moving averages here converging, right? And I mean, all it takes is just to break below the 150-day moving average, and then all of a sudden, you can start to fail even lower. So we're at a very important point in IWM, and we'll see how it goes. But back to Bitcoin. All right, we'll come back to that. I don't know what's going on in my charts. But the fact that we lost that 10-week moving average, we're below the 50-day, we're below the 20-day. We're still above the 64, which for me was a kind of a pivot point. It's just, I think you got to be careful here. You got to be careful. It's possible that this is a wave two. I think that's how I have it labeled. Let me go to my Bitcoin weekly, and then that's the S&P. Here is Bitcoin daily, right? So, I mean, sure, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in here. It could be wave 5 purple already done, right? And you could begin something larger. So, let's not just assume that, the wave 5 purple is not done yet, and you're just, all in on this wave 2 pullback, and then, you got to get confirmation from price. So then, that means that 68, 70K has to get taken out. Even better, the top of this wave 1 to start to crack, and then obviously wave 3 should be much larger, so should not be a problem making money on a larger third wave. But it still has to prove itself. So just because I have it labeled like that, it doesn't mean that it's going to work out. So always look for those confirmations and see how price behaves. But look, that's kind of when I send an alert out, and I told the guys in the chat. I said, listen, we got a Bitcoin. It's acting weak here. So, the PPO is starting to roll over. The RSI is dropping below 50. We're starting to kind of get into some moving averages that are not responding. And, we didn't lose a lot. But listen, if you got out at 70K and you're at 64, that's a 6K that you saved in terms of, being aggravated, depending on kind of where you bought it. But it's it still has a lot of proving to do, especially, being so close to the 150-day, kind of trapped between these averages. It's not ready to go yet. And when it will be ready to go, the market will show us through some serious volume and some serious buying, and then, we can get into the next, larger wave to the upside. So that's my couple of cents on Bitcoin. Same on Ethereum. It had that excitement with the ETF, and then we started to kind of fall apart. Double top almost, right, at 4K. Doesn't mean it's, we're going to crash lower. I mean, double top, it's just, the fact that it was, I should say, maybe a double test of that 40K. But, here is the 10-week moving average, kind of holding prices, bidding it up. But no, until we crack back above 3,800, I got no interest in getting involved in Ethereum. Right? You don't want to buy on the weakness. At least in my view, you want to see participation and people starting to buy and go with the momentum a little bit rather than against it. And for right now, this market is not ready to perform just yet. All right, let's see in here, U.S. 10-year yields not doing much at about 425. This is all a Fed story and maybe economic weakness. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on that data. Dollar index, 3 weeks of strength, right? So you gotta be slightly, you gotta be aware of this as a gauge on our dashboard when we look at macro. Could be a sign that maybe a period of pullback in the markets could be coming, especially if the dollar starts to break 106, if Nvidia pulls back. So kind of coming into this July, August, you remember from last year too that there was a period of weakness. But it's still premature. I mean, you got to break 106, and then, oh my goodness, let me close that up. All right. I clicked wrong. If you break 106, I think one has to be cautious and pull back on risk exposure. I think that's the bottom line. And then gold still consolidating in here. Watch the dollar and watch 2300. If you lose 2300, I think it's time to pare back more gains in gold. Silver still above the 10-week moving average, but look at the price action. Look at all these rallies, how they're getting sold into, right? So that's not very encouraging. You want to see the wicks from the bottom, not from the top. So every time you have a rally, sellers come in. You got a rally, sellers come in. Rally, sellers come in. Sellers come in. I would be a bit cautious in here, even though you're still above a clear breakout and you should have support. But this market might not be ready to rally just yet. So keep an eye on it. You want to see at least maybe a week or two of buying and a better chart formation in here from from a price perspective. Right now it looks like they're continuing to distribute silver almost every week. And then WTIC, West Texas Intermediate, crude oil 72.5. Looks like it was a 61.8 pullback of whatever this was. Could be a B wave or maybe a wave 2 in an ABC, and starts to look definitely interesting with some buying coming in. I would wait until we would break that 83 level, and then maybe get excited about further moves in oil. But the dollar is important. Oil is a market that hasn't been doing much since for a couple of years now. So why would it do anything, right now? So it's a tricky market. There's no real trend in here to take advantage of. So I would leave that to the professionals between, even via the options market or futures market, and just kind of play the ranges or whatever. But in terms of kind of buy and hold, the energy stocks are not looking that healthy either. So I'm not sure, but I would keep away from this energy story at the moment. So I think I covered everything, guys. So thank you. Come visit us on LA Wave Cafe. This thing, it's about $8 a month. I have videos and the daily drip writings. There's a chat room in there too where we talk about all kind of things and I answer questions. So thanks for watching. I will see you next time. Bye bye.